So, without further ado, Ashley, right, is going to continue us here. And she's going to talk about this willingness, right? Something that happened in, 2022, okay? Ashley does something amazing, right? She's 2 years sober, and she has this willingness to reach out to her biological father, Eric, for the very first time. This is 2 years into her sobriety. She had the willingness to do this. Does he have the email? Do we have the email?
We have the email.
All right, so this is the email that Ashley...
No.
Reading the email?
You're going to read the email.
Oh, I'm reading the
You're
email.
reading it.
I chopped some out.
March 2022,
St. Patty's Day.
opening night of March Madness. 6:30 in the evening. Games are fantastic. I have no idea why I checked my phone, but I did. And here's what I read. I sent you a request on LinkedIn, but I'm not sure if you're on there much. I'm not. My name is Ashley Stearns Major, and I grew up in Yosemite Lakes Park. I've never known who my biological father is, and I have been on Ancestry, DNA, and 23andMe for about a decade. I never did that, so it made it more difficult for her. I just recently had a fourth cousin become interested in my story and help me do a lot of ancestral tracing. There's no right way to say this, but I believe there's a strong possibility you could be my biological father or be very closely related to him. My mother is Ursa Major, and I was born January 7th, 1988. I know this might be really awkward and scary and uncomfortable, and you'd like to get back to the game, but I'd love to be able to chat with you and try to figure this out. I'm not looking for anything at all, just really wanted to know who my dad is for many years now. At that point, I paused the game and I looked at my wife and said, honey, I have something I need to read to you.
Thank you, Eric. So we're going to start from the beginning here, all right? So we're going to go back. Ashley, why don't you start off as you were growing up?
Yeah, Ashley Alcoholic.
What's up, Ashley?
My sobriety date is 9/27/20. But yeah, going back to childhood, growing up, my mom met my stepdad, who I called dad, when I was 4 or 5 years old. And in my mind, I didn't have any question as to like who my dad is. He was dad. I still call him dad. I call them both dads. And, you know, I talked to him yesterday. We still have a really good relationship. But I just never went through life like wondering, like, this guy isn't my dad, who is, until later on. I think probably high school is when I got really kind of started questioning it. Like, I really want to know the other half of me. Like, where do I look like him? Do we act the same? I thought he could be a murderer. He could be a movie star. He could be in jail. He could be a drunk on the side of the road. You know, I had all these questions, and it wasn't talked about in our family. Again, I still call him dad, and he raised me, and it was wonderful. And my brother from that dad is here, and yeah, I just didn't question it until I got older.
Are you still now? Because your mom and Darren, correct? Ursa and Darren, they've divorced, but are you still in touch with Darren?
Yeah, I talked to him. I think I talked to him today or yesterday. I don't know. Sometime in the last 24 hours.
So ultimately, those thoughts, the doubt, the fear, the shame, those thoughts of abandonment, those thoughts, ultimately, as you became an adult and you got into relationships, talk about the relationships you got into.
Oh, man. Yeah. I guess you could say daddy issues without realizing it was daddy issues. Yeah, every relationship that I got into in adulthood was was not healthy, was not good. I was always looking, I grew up playing sports, and that was my validation. And then when that stopped, relationships became my validation. And I sought that out in men. And, I had very abusive, detrimental relationships.
Which ultimately, those abusive relationships, they resulted in alcohol, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. So my ex-husband drank a lot, and I found an escape in that. Once I tried it, and once that drink hit my stomach and I felt that relief, it was like all those feelings of I'm not good enough and all the anxiety that I've always had, and all of that just went poof. It was like what I've been looking for my whole life until it wasn't.
It numbed the pain, right? Just
Yeah.
like all of us in here.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it does. It numbs the pain.
And can I read the
Yeah,
Matthew?
please, yeah.
So I wanted to read Matthew 6:34 because this was the first verse that ever stuck with me. I struggle with anxiety still to this day in this moment, but I've had it my whole life. And Q, actually, I saw him post this version of it, and it was my favorite one I've ever seen. So don't be anxious about tomorrow. God will take care of your tomorrow too. Live one day at a time. And this became my favorite verse in high school. And I didn't realize that fast forward to now, in recovery, I would have to learn how to live one day at a time. So I just thought that was a really, really neat parallel. There are no coincidences.
Very cool. Was that again, Matthew 6:34?
Yeah, Matthew 6:34.
So let's talk about how the alcohol, it got really bad, right? In what, 2020? Is that where we're at? 2020?
Yeah, I mean, it got...
Drinking?
I came to an ambulance in 2018, and then in 2020 is when is my last sobriety date, 9/27/20. And I was in a relationship, and domestic violence happened. He went to jail. I didn't want to be in the house anymore, so I went to a hotel room, and I thought, what am I going to do? I'm going to drink myself to death because that's the only way I know how to handle this pain.
And that was you were going to end your life.
Yeah. I didn't expect to get.
So you're in that hotel room. You're done.
Yeah, I just.
But God's will, there was something else, right?
Yeah.
God had something else planned because you found yourself somehow on a Zoom meeting
Yeah.
with North Park.
The Saturday women's Zoom meeting at 11 a.m. I somehow found myself on that meeting, and next thing I know, after the meeting's done, get a knock on the door, hotel door, and I think it's DoorDash delivering me more alcohol. And when I open that door, I am pissed. It is 2 women from AA from that women's meeting.
Got it.
Yeah, got me. And they said, you're coming with me. I said, no, I am not. They said, we are not leaving you here to kill yourself. I said, okay, I'll come with you as long as you let me bring the alcohol. And they said, that is fine, as long as we get you out of here. And so they took me and let me finish my drinks. And the next day, sent me on my merry way, and that was my first day of sobriety.
Yeah. Are you still in touch with those ladies today?
I am. One I haven't talked to in a while, but one I see regularly. I saw her just today, right? Yeah, yesterday. Thank you. I knew you were there.
So it was September 26th was when you were in the hotel room getting ready to end your life.
Yeah.
And then September 27th, that's the day that you were reborn.
Absolutely.
That's the day your first day of sobriety.
First day of sobriety.
And talk about that first day. How was that?
Oh, that was rough. So I had that happen, and my sister actually had a stalker break into her apartment the same night that I had my incident happen. And so we just left to Sacramento to go see my grandma from the other dad's side. And, yeah, I mean, I had family around me, and, I got through it. I was shaking and trembling, but I had gotten sober before and knew I could do it. And yeah, it just didn't pick up again.
So let's talk about the 2 years prior before you had the willingness to reach out to Eric. Let's talk about those 2 years. What are some of the things that you learned in the first 2 years? I mean, was the first year easier than the second year? Was the second year harder, easier?
I'd say with my time, because I've been in the rooms pretty much nonstop since February of 2018, I would say that I already had a lot of knowledge, and I felt like it was pretty easy. But what happened was I didn't go to meetings for my first 2 years. The relationship I was in was very controlling, and I wasn't allowed to go to certain meetings. And so I said, heck with it, I'm just not going to go to meetings altogether, and made that person my program. And so that was a great lesson for me, because I hear, you have to go to meetings for life. This is a lifelong disease, and so you have to treat it daily. And I learned really quickly that was the truth, because when that relationship ended, I was sober and suicidal.
Now, were you working with a sponsor the first 2 years?
Not really. I was in another program that I was doing some work. My sponsor at that time had moved to France or Italy. I don't remember which one, but we still talk. But I knew that I needed to get back in the rooms, and so.
And how did you do that? How did you find the community after that relationship?
I had a youth that I worked with at a juvenile hall a couple years prior, and he randomly texted me and said, hey, I know you told me you could take me to a meeting one time. I'm out of Teen Challenge. Can you take me to a meeting? And I said, I can't take you, but I'll meet you there. And he got me to step foot back in North Park, which was my home group, at noon in January of 2020. Sorry, I get it all confused. I stepped foot back in there and saw people that I had got sober with, and I was just right back. I treated myself as a newcomer. I found a sponsor locally, and just started working the steps over again as if I had never worked the program before.
So that's going down. Then all of a sudden, let's get back to how you reached out to your father here. Let's tell everyone, spend a minute or two, or a couple minutes telling us what made you want to do that, and what gave you the courage to do it.
Well, I wanted to know where I came from, like the other half of me, and I'm so glad that I did. I mean, I was scared. There's pictures of when we met. That's the very first time I met him, and I was trembling, and I was terrified. But I wanted to know, this is my family, this is my dad. I want to know who these people are. And I'm blessed that they're all local. And I have the front row right here of family.
Were you getting any kickback from friends or family, anyone telling you you should do this or you shouldn't do this?
No, nobody. Nobody had any against this or against that.
And when did Sue become your sponsor?
That's a question for Sue. I don't
Is that
know.
a
I don't
question
remember.
for Sue?
No, it was probably.
Was this before this, or was this after? After, okay.
Yeah. It was probably mid 2022, right? Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. So then now you reach out to him. Listen, Eric, I got a couple questions for you. Obviously, you had to have some courage and some willingness to check out that email. That's the first thing.
I didn't know what was in the email.
Yeah. Or so explain the next few days after you got that.
Got the email on a Thursday. We spoke on the phone on a Friday, and Saturday morning she was at my door.
Do you remember that conversation?
The day she came to the door?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, we embraced, and she came in, and I introduced her to my wife, and we sat down and started getting caught up.
Yeah. A lot of years.
Yeah.
So let's talk about so you guys have known each other and been a part of each other's life now for 2 years. What are some of the great things and what are some of the hard things?
She's a girl. I think that's why God said for 33 years, chill. And then she came, and here we are. But no, it's great. I mean, it's been a pleasure to get to know her, to just determine how we develop our relationship given the circumstances. But she's a blessing. She's given her life to the Lord. I do get the same soaps that you enjoy getting on a daily basis.
Very cool.
And the thing that I like, I love most about Ashley is she's one of the few people that I believe truly has surrendered her life to Jesus.
Yeah.
And that's the only answer. That's the only way that we all go forward.
So how long have you been a follower of Christ?
Great question. So it was early 40s, so let's put it maybe 15 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then how did you get to that point?
That's interesting. Right man in my life, right time, right approach. Emptiness, lack of purpose, I suppose. I mean, I was doing fine, thank you very much, and doing everything that I wanted to do. But I guess when I laid my head on the pillow at night, it was, is this really it? So this gentleman took me through the Timothy program,
Okay.
which was the perfect program for me.
Yeah.
And at the end, it's, are you in, are you out? And I mean, anybody that goes through Timothy and says they're out, good luck to them, I guess.
That's a great program, by the way.
Oh, it's phenomenal.
It's a great program. So being that God is at the center of your relationship, and God is at the center of your relationship, I'm willing to bet it's pretty easy moving forward now.
Oh, I think so, sure.
And then you guys go to church together, correct?
Yep.
And what church do you guys go to?
New Covenant?
New Covenant. And I'm assuming you've been there for a while.
I have.
And what's it like to go to church with your pops?
It's really special. Like the first time I got to meet all this family, before we even for sure had the paternity test results back, was at New Covenant. And I went to church with them, and I think I've only missed a few over the last couple years.
Yeah.
It's just really special to.
The first Sunday.
Yeah, I went the first Sunday we met.
And we were at church on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
Meeting the family.
So it's really special it came at a time when I really needed to find the Lord again and grow that relationship. And it just so happens that my biological father is not a drunk on the side of the road or in prison or anything, but the family's just an amazing Christian and God-loving family. And that's what I needed right when I needed it.
Very cool. Let's give it up for Ashley. I think we're going to go ahead and just ask, I'm going to let you call on some people, and we're going to see if anybody has any questions for Ashley or Eric. We're going to go ahead and let you guys ask some questions. Go ahead. You want to call on some people? Does anybody have any questions? Anybody want to ask anything? Here we go.
Yeah. Shocker.
What do you want, brother?
Hello? Can you? Okay. This is for Eric. Was there any point of this that there was some denial that she may be your kid?
No.
You want me to field that one for you, bro?
Oh, well, yeah. Okay. All right, you asked. I did do some due diligence. I think the first phone call may have been to my younger brother, and I floated the name of Ashley's mother, and he says, "No, bro, that was you." So at that point, I figured I was stuck. And then as people got to know us and our faces went together, we were told it was a done deal.
Very cool.
Thanks.
I'm going to read this new Brandon Lake song. It hasn't released yet, but I heard the lyrics, and it made me really think of kind of where I've been in sobriety when I'm broken and battered and just have to reach out to God. There's times when my hands go up freely and times that it costs. And there's days when a praise comes out easy and days that it takes all the strength I got. So I'll bring my hard-fought, heartfelt, been through hell, hallelujah. I'll bring my storm-tossed, torn self story to tell. And that really hit me when I heard it a couple days ago as I was preparing for this, because some days still feel like that. You know, just because you get sober doesn't mean every day is going to be great. We still have to handle life as it's thrown our way. Losses, just unexpected events, inner feelings we don't want to feel, whatever it may be. And, you know, I just recently had that surgery, and I've really found myself during this recovery time of, like, not feeling real good mentally and spiritually. And sometimes it is a hard-fought hallelujah. And other times it's easy to just throw my hands up and praise Jesus and thank him for everything. But I just wanted to share that because it really resonated with how my recovery journey has gone and my walk with Christ. So
Very cool.